The Houston Texans walked into Week 1 carrying confidence and came out with a reality check nobody saw coming. A 14-9 loss to the Rams did more than sting. It exposed cracks that fans thought were patched. CJ Stroud himself called it a wake-up call, and when your franchise quarterback uses that phrase, you know something deeper is going on. 9 points, 0 touchdowns, and only 1 trip to the red zone. On paper, it looks like a slow start, but the real story is hidden behind how those numbers came to life. The shocking part is that it felt like the Texans were playing uphill from the first drive. Every positive play was followed by a mistake that yanked the momentum away. Instead of rhythm, Houston was trapped in chaos. Instead of Stroud setting the tempo, the offense was stuck reacting. Fans expected growth in year 3 for their quarterback, not a repeat of old problems. But here's the twist. This game wasn't just about missed chances. It was about the same invisible opponent that haunted them last season. Nobody is talking enough about the silent force that destroyed Houston's drives before they even started. It wasn't the Rams' defense that did the most damage. It was the Texans hurting themselves with penalties and long yardage situations. That hidden battle is the real reason Houston's offense stalled, and it is exactly where the breakdown begins. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Texans and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. The Houston Texans were not beaten by talent as much as they were tripped by their own feet. Drives kept starting smooth, then a flag or a mistake pushed everything into a hole. The chain kept moving backward and the offense lost control. You felt it every time the down and distance changed from makeable to near impossible, and the scoreboard paid the price. Here is the part that turns a slow day into a shut door. 1st and 15 showed up 5 times. 2nd and more than 10 hit 9 times. That math leads to 2 for 9 on 3rd down, with distances that look like a ladder rather than a step. When your best plays are swallowed by long yardage, your playbook shrinks, and your rhythm is gone before the snap. The opponent did not have to be perfect. Houston did the job for them. There is another layer that made those holes even deeper. Motion and play action were used less than they should be, about 35% motion and about 11% play action, which means fewer easy throws and fewer defined looks for the quarterback. That is the hidden cost of penalties. They do not just move the ball back, they erase the tools that help a drive breathe. So the question now is simple. How did CJ Stroud carry himself inside that chaos? And what changes when he takes control of the tempo next? He called it a wake-up call, owned his part, and said he has to prepare better while holding everyone to a higher standard. That matters because he is in year 3 and his voice sets the tone for the whole sideline. The job now is not just surviving tough downs. The job is bending the game to his pace and forcing defenses to react to him. The numbers tell a clear story about how he handled chaos. He was pressured on 42% of his dropbacks and still completed 9 of 10 throws when the heat came. That shows poise, but it also shows how often he had to play in crisis mode. The next step is control. That means changing protections before the snap, checking into answers when looks get exotic, taking the smart sack instead of the drive killer, and using timeouts when a play is doomed. When the quarterback takes command like that, the entire offense breathes easier. What nobody is talking about enough is how support around him unlocks that command. Clean edges, firm pockets, and trusted outlets turn good decisions into big gains. The fix starts with who lines up where and who is healthy enough to hold the point of attack. If that foundation settles, Stroud's leadership turns from damage control into attack mode. So the question becomes simple. What does the best 5 up front look like? And how do the injuries change the plan next? The Houston Texans just learned how thin the margins are in the trenches. Cade Stover went down with a broken foot, and Jake Andrews suffered a high ankle sprain, and that changed the plan before rhythm could even form. Tight end depth shrank, interior timing shifted, and the offense felt every inch of it. When bodies move, chemistry moves with them, and the first sign was protection that never settled long enough to let the playbook breathe. There is a path to stability if the 5 lock in together. Ariante Ursary at left tackle, Titus Howard at right tackle, Ed Ingram and Laken Tomlinson at guard, Jarrett Patterson at center. That group gives clean edges and a steady middle, while Dalton Schultz carries the tight end room and Harrison Bryant steps into a bigger role. With that setup, the quarterback can trust his spot, step into throws, and turn clean pockets into points. The roster does not need a magic fix. It needs 5 men moving as one and targets who finish plays on time. Now the call sheet has to match the personnel. The design must protect the launch point, speed up the first read, and create easy gains that do not ask blockers to hold forever. If the staff leans into what this lineup does best, the offense can flip from survival to control. That is where the next layer begins, because the real pressure now falls on the play caller and how he adjusts from snap 1. Games are shaped long before the ball is snapped, and on this day, the plan did not help the Houston Texans. The rhythm of the first 15 called plays never tilted the field. The defense sat on routes, the pace stayed flat, and the offense rarely forced coverage to reveal itself. The twist is simple. This does not need a brand new playbook. It needs smarter sequencing, clearer answers, and a tempo that puts the defense on its heels instead of letting them settle. Start by winning early downs with clean answers the quarterback can reach fast. Use pre-snap movement to force a tell, then give Stroud a simple choice outlet. Empty looks can identify pressure. Quick outs and option routes for Nico Collins turn space into yards. Dalton Schultz should be the hot answer inside, while Harrison Bryant leaks to the flat after a chip. Pair inside zone with a glance route, pair duo with a bubble tag, sprinkle sprint out in short yardage, and hit hurry up right after an explosive gain so the defense cannot substitute. Rotate personnel from 11 to 12 near the goal line to sell, run, and slip a seam behind it. When the call sheet creates these easy buttons, the quarterback stops living in crisis mode and the offense starts dictating who must cover where. That is when the whole team feels different. But there is another truth hiding in plain sight. The defense already gave Houston a chance by keeping the score within reach. So the next question is what that unit did well, and how their standard becomes the spark for a full team response next. The Houston Texans stayed alive because the defense refused to fold. Holding the Rams to 14 is the kind of work that should win most Sundays. The rush had juice with Danielle Hunter wrecking edges and Will Anderson Jr. pushing the pocket, and Azeez Al-Shaair turned a strip into a momentum swing late. That effort kept the door open even when the offense could not find a touchdown. Coverage needs fine-tuning, not an overhaul. Henry To'o allowed 2 catches for 17 yards on 5 targets, which is clean work in space. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was tested and gave up 4 of 4 for 74 as he ramps back, while Derek Stingley Jr. drew a costly flag that extended a drive. Jalen Pitre had tough snaps on their top option, which is a reminder to match roles to strengths and keep communication tight in money downs. The real test is consistency and discipline. Fewer flags, smarter leverage, and faster subs will turn good outings into complete wins. Health and rotation choices matter too, since Christian Harris logged only 5 snaps and that changes speed on the second level. The standard is set on defense, but standards are a culture choice, and that takes us straight to the staff, the details, and how the head coach cleans up the penalty story next. The Houston Texans reflect DeMeco Ryans' energy and belief, but discipline remains their biggest flaw, as shown by 11 penalties in the opener after ranking among the league's most penalized teams the past 2 years. Fans now wonder if a player's coach can enforce control without losing the locker room, and if a first-year coordinator can steady the offense before frustration sets in. Unlike deeper teams such as the Ravens or Lions, Houston lacks the talent to survive constant mistakes, making details like cadence, spacing, and communication critical. Ryans must balance inspiration with discipline, and the upcoming matchup against Tampa Bay will be a test of whether the Texans can finally clean up the habits that keep holding them back. So, the challenge is set. Can this team transform a wake-up call into a turning point, or will the same storylines carry into Week 2? Can DeMeco Ryans deliver discipline while Nick Caley unlocks an attack that puts defenses on their heels? And most importantly, will Stroud take the next step from surviving pressure to commanding games? Drop your thoughts in the comments, let me know what you expect in Tampa, and make sure you are subscribed so you never miss the next Texans breakdown.